Donald Trump's plan would basically be to extend all his tax cuts for everybody, including the wealthy, exempt Social Security from income tax. These all add to the deficit. No tax on tips. Lower the corporate tax rate. He does want to repeal the green energy tax credits, but he would add $5.2 trillion more to the debt over the next 10 years. He has this idea for tariffs, which would offset it. Nobody thinks these tariffs would really happen. That would, even with that, it would add $2.6 trillion. Harris, on the other hand, has a plan that actually pays for itself. And it's also important to note that Trump's tax plan favors the wealthy. Harris's tax plan favors average Americans. She wants to extend tax cuts, but only for those making less than $400,000. And she wants to raise taxes on the wealthy, make them pay their fair share, as she has been saying, raise corporate taxes, make them pay their fair share. And so when you get to the bottom line down here, she would only add a trivial amount to the deficit. So she wouldn't solve the problem, but she would at least not make it worse. So when you add all this up together, you can see over here that Trump would add this $5.2 trillion to the debt without his tariffs, less with his tariffs, but as I said, no one really believes that's going to happen. And she adds essentially nothing to the national debt. And you compare that to what's happened under Trump and under Biden. Under Trump, $8.4 trillion, as you said earlier. In fairness, $3.6 trillion of it was COVID-related debt, but still all $4.8 trillion of debt. And Biden, a good bit less, especially when you exclude COVID. So it's a much superior plan than anything we've seen for a good while.
So let me ask you this, Steve. So that looks remarkable. First of all, I'm curious about your sourcing. And secondly, if that's all she added to the national debt, would that not make her the most fiscally conservative with a small c president this century? Compared to George W. Bush, compared to Barack Obama, compared to Donald Trump, compared to Joe Biden?
Yeah, Joe, that's a really good point. We have not had a president, as you saw over there, who didn't add a huge amount of debt.
What are the sources for these numbers?
These are Congressional Budget Office numbers. I mean,
What about the Harris plan?
These are numbers that her campaign produced, but have been vetted by the Tax Foundation,
right.
Independent scorekeepers of this sort of thing. These are honest numbers.
Why? Again, it is remarkable that here you have Kamala Harris, who has been part of an administration that has just outperformed China, just lapped China several times over the past 4 years, has outperformed the rest of Europe, all of our allies, the strongest economy in the world, a $27 trillion GDP, the strongest stock market ever, a 50-year high for the U.S. dollar, more oil production than any country in history, and now fiscally more conservative than any president this century based on her plan and what it's projected to do. And there's still yahoos going around making millions and millions of dollars claiming that she and Biden are so